I'm airing out all my dirty laundry today. Actually, it's clean laundry. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'll actually be folding my clean laundry as I go through the mid-year book freakout tag, which I've never done on this channel, so I'm super excited about it. And let's just jump right into it because I have a lot of laundry and books to talk about. Feel free to do something else while I am talking about this. Use this as background noise. Fold your own laundry. Like, you don't have to be looking at the screen unless like I tell you like look at the screen. Number 1, the best book I have read so far in 2023. I was surprised with myself with this one because I chose a nonfiction book and I don't usually like nonfiction books. I am very much someone that can take years to read a nonfiction book. And the nonfiction book that I chose was Real Self-Care by Pooja Lakshman, MD. She's a doctor, psychiatrist, and I just thought it was one of the most helpful books I've ever read. And I've read like medical textbooks, so it was very helpful. I think just in a personal development sort of thing. This book is about a psychiatrist that walks through what is called ACT therapy, which is acceptance and confidence therapy, and how we can actually implement real self-care in our lives that's not so superficial, that actually has a lasting impact. Because a lot of the things that we do, whether that is escapism, whether that is buying things, those are just band-aids that we're putting on like a gaping wound that's gushing out, and like eventually we're gonna bleed out. So it is very like important to then go ahead and, by the way, don't judge me for my folding skills, but to then go ahead and develop these practices of really protecting yourself, your boundaries, and being able to communicate it. Because it's easy to say like you have to have boundaries, but it's difficult sometimes to identify what they are, to communicate them, and also to understand why they're important. And I like in my own therapy, like that's my therapist is one that is trained in ACT therapy, which is acceptance and confidence therapy. I hope I'm saying that right. And it was just really useful, and I took notes. I just really enjoyed it, and I think that anyone, if they are on a self-care journey, if they are considering therapy and they want like a kind of glimpse into this type of therapy, I think it's just really useful. And I think like I've taken with the therapy lessons that I've incorporated into my daily life, so that's why it's the best book that I've read so far in 2023. I'm hoping that the book I read later on in the next half of the year that is the best book is a fiction book, but I really have been hitting some duds this year, as we'll get into. Question number 2, best sequel I've read so far in 2023. And this is why I'm saying like this year has not been my reading year, because I really like it. There isn't one that I would say like was my favorite sequel. If you have any recommendations of good books with good series, let me know. I just like haven't been hitting it recently, but I would say probably Ballad of Never After. And it's still like, I acknowledge like Stephanie Garber's books are not something you read for the plot, and this is like my opinion. I still love them, but they're not the plot. It is for the vibes. You read them for the vibes and the vibes only, because the main character in that series is like actually like so stupid. It's fun, you know, and that would probably be the best sequel I've read this year. So I'm really hoping that at the end of the year I have a better roundup and I have like so many great books that I've read. Again, also that's why I was like, let me just like fold my laundry while I do this, because it's not like I have that many great books to talk about, but I do have great books I want to get to. So next thing. New release I haven't read yet, but I want to. I really want to read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I really like R.F. Kuang. I couldn't get into Babel that much, and like I started it and I stopped it, and then like I never picked it up again. But I really want to read Yellowface. I've heard great things, and I also obviously want to read Fourth Wing. I feel like I am the only person on the planet that has not read this Rebecca Yarros book. I have it, I own it, it is in my bookshelf, but I just haven't gotten to it. And I feel like it's because I had so many other books, which is why I said the whole thing about like me being surprised that the best book I've read so far is a nonfiction, because like literally I have nonfictions that I have had for years that I have not finished, so it speaks for itself. I really want to get to those 2 books. Those would be probably the top new releases that are on my TBR that I really want to get to, and anything else that just like is good. I really want to get to good books. Okay, so the next prompt is most anticipated release of the second half of the year. And since I mentioned the Stephanie Garber series, I am looking forward to the next book, which is called Curse for True Love. This is the 3rd book in the series, and I hope it's the last. Oh my god, I should be hoping that it's not the last, but like honestly, like I think it's time to move on from this world for Stephanie Garber. Let me see what else you can do. Another one that I really want to get to is Swordcatcher. I think that's what it's called. Yes, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is like her first adult series, and like I don't know, I haven't seen anything about it. I saw people criticizing it already, but I feel like Cassandra Clare gets like criticism no matter what she does, so it's like a lot. And then the last one that I want to get to, and it's mostly because I started the series and I actually really like the first book. I think I read it this year, Belladonna, or I might have read it last year. I don't know. It is Foxglove. That's by Adeline Grace. I really liked it. I read it in an audiobook on a plane. So you know, like plane books just hit differently, absolutely differently in comparison to like real life books, or like books that you pick up and you're just like reading on your free time. Because on a plane you have nothing else to do, especially if you didn't download anything or you don't want to watch anything. So next prompt. Biggest disappointment this year. This unfortunate prize goes to Addie LaRue. I did not like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue at all. I was so disappointed. I'm gonna pick up another B. Schwab book because I don't know if maybe like I would like her young adult stuff, but I recently read a young adult book and I just was reading it and I was like realizing like I am a bit old to read young adult. And it's not that you have to be a certain age. I'm not saying that at all, but like in some of these young adult books, like you see these main characters and they're like the best of the best and you're like, what? Like you're 15. How can you be the best X person? Like how can you be the best construction worker at 15? Like for example, like doesn't make sense. I think especially after spending like, you know, I'm gonna be like spending 15 years of my life just to become a doctor. It's hard to believe. But Addie LaRue I just didn't like and I don't want to get into it right now. Like I'm trying not to invite negative energy into my life. So next, biggest surprise. This has to go to a monster romance, and it was a monster romance I really did not expect to like because like honestly it like really grossed me out. Like most monster romances like have a degree of ick to them, but this one like really was that upper level. But I liked it and I want to read more by this author. It was Ensnared by Tiffany Roberts. It is not for the weak of heart or the weak of stomach. It is a spider monster romance. It is a sci-fi romance and I just really liked it. I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was like a standalone novel and like each one is like a different spider person, but it is actually a 3-book series. I only read the first book and then like I fell off like reading it, but I read it in one sitting. I found it super entertaining. I would recommend if you're a monster, you know, lover, to say it mildly. Now, my favorite new author, new or debut novel, I'm gonna have to say Katie Colopy. She is a friend, so that is like the disclaimer. And I did beta read her book, but I finished her book months ago and I still think about it. And I'm so anxious for her to send me the next book to like read, and if she's seeing this, like I'm waiting. Please send it to me. I need to know what's going to happen. It's a grimdark fantasy world with like a whole multiverse behind it, and it has multiple POVs, multiple characters, a lot of like really great representation, a really cool magic system and history, and like I don't know, like some of the characters like villains turned heroes, heroes turned villains, love interests like not panning out the way you thought. It was good. It was really good and I'm really excited for the next book. Newest fictional crush. I wouldn't say that I have a fictional crush in books recently, but I have a couple in the Star Wars universe. Like I was totally on the Pedro Pascal train this year and I love The Mandalorian, and reading Mandalorian like Pedro Pascal fanfiction, like Din Djarin fanfiction, like that was my shit. I am so obsessed. I would say Ahsoka and like Thrawn and like Ezra, like I am obsessed in the whole Rebels universe, like all of the characters, all of them, Hera, Syndulla, all of them. I'm totally obsessed with them. And probably like my biggest like fictional crush is like the Bad Batch crew from Star Wars. Like I'm obsessed. That's probably why I wasn't reading that much, because I was really indulging my hyperfixation when it came to Star Wars, which I am so happy I did because it gave me so much joy. And I'm gonna be getting into the literary universe in this next couple of weeks, so I'm excited. my newest favorite character, well, I kind of talked a lot about them from the Star Wars universe. I love Thrawn. Like, Thrawn and Ahsoka are probably like my favorite fictional characters, but if I'm talking exclusively from a book, I read Chloe Brown recently and I loved Chloe Brown. I thought she was so relatable, and I think probably out of everyone, the grandma in Chloe Brown was my favorite. She is awesome. And I really want to read the rest of the Brown Sisters trilogy. It really does live to the hype. I feel like I should have talked about it before, but I didn't read the sequels to it, and it wasn't my favorite book. But as someone that doesn't read contemporary romance, I was so impressed with it, and I was laughing out loud, and I really recommend it to anyone. The narration of the audiobook, because I had the physical copy and I also had the audiobook from my library, which, you know, that's my thing now, was so good. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So funny. And the narrator is actually Lady Danbury, that actress from the Bridgerton series. So exciting. Really should get on my historical romance train because I haven't read any this year, and those books always get me in the mood to read. And then a book that made me cry, this must go to Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I finally finished the Throne of Glass series, and let me tell you, I have a whole vlog on it, and I cried my little eyes out with that series. I was absolutely destroyed in many parts of that series. It was so good. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't my favorite book in the series, and I feel like when it comes to Sarah J. Maas, I have like so much history with her. She doesn't know me, but we have so much history together that like even if it's not my favorite book, I will still love it. And like I can acknowledge things I didn't like about it, like some plot things and everything. That's in that vlog. It was a spoiler vlog, but it was good. It made me tear up in a lot of parts, especially the Manon parts. Like anything with Manon like actually killed me. She's my favorite. All of them are my favorite. I don't know what to tell you. Even Kale at this point. Anyways, a book that made me happy. I'm gonna go with Chloe Brown for that one. That book made me laugh out loud so much. And every time I picked it up, I was in my feels. I was so happy. I laughed. I cried. Not cry in like in terms of like sad. I was just laughing a lot. And yeah, so that would be the book that made me happy. And I should read more like that. And then the next prompt is the most beautiful book I have bought or received this year. It is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. And this was actually a gift from Sarah Lorraine Reads on Instagram and YouTube, even though she doesn't post any YouTube videos anymore. She's very active on Instagram. She's a good friend. And this book, like, she got it for me from my wish list. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like gives me the feels. Like when I look at it, I want to frame it. Like I would have this as a printout on my wall. I don't know what it's about, but she really liked it, and like this book is just like so beautiful, and I really like the cover. And yeah, this is just like the standard cover in the United States, but it's stunning. And this would be that book. That is the most beautiful book that I've received, or at least to me it is, because like maybe someone else looks at it and they're like, you depresso, but I love it. It's very beautiful. And then the last question is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? And this is like not with the aforementioned Fourth Wing or the anticipated releases. I really want to get through this Star Wars universe series. I want to get through this series, and I also would like to reread A Court of Thorns and Roses. Hopefully that happens before Crescent City 3 comes out, which is one of my most anticipated reads of 2024, and it makes me sad because I'm gonna be waiting, and then like I have the rest of the year I have nothing to wait for, and it's gonna make me upset. And I still haven't finished my laundry. I just had so much laundry because it's like 2 loads because I was at work and then like I would get back, and I've kind of been like trying to figure out how to clean my house in a way that doesn't drive me crazy. So I've been doing it by section. But anyways, so that was that. That was the mid-year book freakout tag, and that is finished, but my laundry isn't. So I will let you go, and I'll see you in the next video. If you liked doing this, or if you also did your folding to your laundry while I was doing this video, let me know. I feel like I put on videos when I'm folding my laundry and doing all these things usually, so it was actually really fun to do. Maybe I'll do all my monthly wrap-ups like this, because that way I'll actually read more books. Okay, so with that, goodbye, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!